Okay, this one is going to be about the secret to drawing animals. And when I mean like drawing animals, like not um, like cartoon animals like they're walking on two legs, but actually like animals that walk on four legs. So I'm talking like dogs, cats, and things like that. The the basic secret actually is really like understanding like how to like draw like the human figure. If you can draw the human figure like this one I have here, if you know like the basics in terms of like the relationship between like the pelvis and like the rib cage and also some basic landmarks, I think you can pretty much you can draw an animal. Or if you know like this other what do you call it, the the bean or like the flour sack, that we use like for drawing the human torso, right? This is like the rib cage, this is like the pelvis, right? And from that, we can add appendages on there to have like a mannequin, for a figure, right? Okay, so like how do we have like this kind of template but like for an animal? Okay, well, if you think about it, the human is like standing on two legs, right? So it needs to be supported by essentially this pelvis on which the legs are also like rooting the body to the ground, right? So how do we get that idea towards like a four-legged creature? Well, if you think about it, a four-legged creature is going to be subject to like forces of like gravity, right? So essentially, like this is like the flour sack model, but for an animal, right? So if you think about like if like the weight is like going down here for the human, and like all that weight is like going into like the hips and in the legs, right? In terms of an animal, a lot of that weight, of course, is going to be distributed along, you know, along this body here, right? And also, you can see that the this bottom part is the part that's sinking the most, because that's the part that is, well, this is like the soft belly part, but that's the part that's also it's being like pulled down by gravity, right? So if I had this, and then if I added legs onto it like this, okay, okay, you can see how I get a kind of a mannequin for an animal. Okay, I'm not saying what kind of animal it is right now, but this could be, you know, a dog, um, or something like that. Okay, and then like the tail is coming out here like this, ears like that. Okay, all right. So I guess maybe it's kind of like a dog. Okay, so if you can get that basic idea, a dog or or a or a wolf or a fox or something like that. This is the basic mannequin you want to have, for drawing an animal. Okay. So all right, let me make this even a little bit more clear for you guys. Okay. So if this is difficult, okay, if this like relationship is like, difficult for you guys in the beginning, like to understand, right? Another thing you can do is you could like just basically just like draw a volume here and then like a volume here like that. And you see how I have like this S curve like that. And you can see it's almost kind of like an animal kind of torso. This is something that people basically can recognize. Now, the top part of the spine, depending on the type of animal, is going to sink, or it's going to be like more straight, depending on the type of animal. If it's like a cat or something like that, sometimes it tends to sink a little bit more. But if it's like a dog, or a cat, I'm sorry, it's a dog or a horse, this might be a little more straighter. But this relationship people usually tend to like to recognize like as an animal, right? Um, and again, this I'm of course I'm simplifying this like for for kind of like a animated or like a caricature kind of thing. But basically, you can take this and expand with more detail, like to make it more realistic. So I'll do it again, right? So I have like this volume here for the chest, and it'll go up into this part, like where the pelvis is going to be, and then I can connect these two like that. All right, so there's my basic torso for an animal. Another thing that'd be also good to remember is that animals' necks actually come down like this, okay? Because animals basically, when they eat, they have to like be closer to the ground, because they're eating from their mouths, right? Okay. Human necks, in contrast, um, go into the rib cage like this, right? Like here's like human rib cage, right? So the neck actually goes in like that, okay? So it's quite different in that regard. Um, Again, the animal's neck, because an animal, yeah, is eating or what have you. Yeah, it needs to be, yeah, it needs to be like in this position, right? So this is going back, okay? Animals is going forward like that. Okay, so that's a thing that you should remember, like when you're drawing animals. And this is true, whether if it's if it's a cat, if it's a dog, if it's a horse, if it's a rabbit, they all have that basic, even a bear. Okay. The other part I also want to make clear for you, because like how do we add like the legs onto it? Okay. So the basic things that you need to remember are these points. Okay. One is this point, which is called the scapula. Okay. It's like if you touch like those triangles on your back, that race up and down, that's what your arms are attached to. So and the scapula goes into essentially what was going to be the upper part of the animal's arm and their elbow, which is here. And then from that goes down into the ground like so. And then so you have this part of the arm, and then the last part you have is the foot. And I shape the foot's, sorry, the feet like this because they need to be able to support themselves. Okay. So, you know what? I'm gonna draw this, or I'm gonna outline it in. I don't know if this is gonna show up or not, but I want to make this clear. Scapula. Okay. Elbow. Okay. Forearm, and then the foot, or the paw at the bottom. Okay. And I could bring that down to flesh that out. You see this part here, that's like where, well, like if it's like a mammal, like a dog or a cat, that's like where like the thumb would be basically. Okay. All right. So that's for the front leg. Okay. For the hind leg, you have the pelvis that is going back here like that. Now, a animal pelvis is quite different from a human pelvis. The animal pelvis is more flat, as compared to ours. It's kind of going like that, and then from here that goes into the knee here, and then this goes back, and believe it or not, this is actually the heel of the animal, and then that will go down into the foot here. Okay, so if you can remember, like those basic these basic parts here, you should be able to draw an animal from um, from any position actually. Okay. All right. Because this and of course, and when you draw the tail, always make sure that the tail passes through the pelvis, because basically that's what like the spine is, right? So it's coming out like that. Okay, and then you can flesh it out like that. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna keep this. I'm gonna do this in two parts actually, because it could get a little complicated, but this is the part that you really need to learn first. Okay, like first, like how to draw the torso. Okay, and then after that, like, yeah, how to add the legs onto that. Again, the key points are, again, is the scapula. Okay, then you have like the elbow here, then you have the forearm and the foot. For the back, you have the pelvis. This is actually the knee of the animal, and that goes into the heel, and then like the foot at the bottom. All right, if you can get that, you're pretty much you're on your way, to drawing animals. Okay. One other last thing before I end this. This book here, I highly recommend this book. This book is probably the best book that's out there in terms of like breaking down like how to draw animals. This is by Ken Hultgren. Ken Hultgren was an artist at the old Disney studio. He worked on Bambi, and Disney's Bambi was a watershed in terms of drawing animals realistically, portraying them realistically on film. I highly recommend this book, and this book also it breaks it down just the way I did a second ago. Show you just really quick before I don't know if you can see it. Well, here, like here's like the scapula, the elbow, there's like the forearm here. Let me find a more simpler one that's a little bit easier to see. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, this is what I was talking about, right? This is for a horse, but it's very, very similar to like a dog. There's a scapula. This is like the elbow, and this is like the front arm, and then like the lower part of of what would be, well, for a horse it's a hoof, but you know, for us it'll be the hand. Okay, again, like here's like the pelvis, there's the knee, there's the heel, and then like this lower part of the leg. You know, so I highly recommend this book. And another book I really recommend is this one, The Anatomy for Animal Anatomy for Artists. This is excellent. This really gets down like into like the anatomy and things like that. You don't necessarily have to buy this book. Actually, these original plates, are on hold at the University of Wisconsin. And if you type in like University of Wisconsin like animal plates, you can find these online for free. Okay, so anyway, so that's my suggestion for today. That's part one, and I will come back again with another suggestion for you guys. All right? Okay, see you next time.